see the final beasts out of the East, who will join Dubs and Mega, Cease and Elevate, and Zate and Saf out of this packed region. Ghost Demo and Bizzle have come so close, with just a single Shadow Bomb rotation being the difference between their trip to the final as a duo or not so far. Can they clutch up in the final week and put their high execution style strategy to work? And the question everyone wants answered: can Tfue and Cloaksy or Ninja in Reverse make it to the Fortnite World Cup final? Both have come so incredibly close in different duo weeks, and both have the eyes of everyone in the Fortnite and gaming world on them. Will these Titans move on, or will someone else rise above them in the final moments?
What's going on, Fortnite fam? We are back, and welcome to continued coverage of Fortnite World Cup Online Open Qualifiers. We're hanging out with our best friend Sundown, who's getting that real deep. Very proud of you there. Anyway, Fortnite fam, welcome. Let's go ahead and refresh your memory. All right, and we know we've been gone for a little while. All right, so let's get the memory going. All right, we'll start with the schedule. Don't forget, Oceania and Asia have already concluded. Europe as well as done. We're hopping into NA East games in here in just a moment, and we'll wrap the day later on with NA West. Don't forget, we also pushed everything back 1 hour, so that's why those times might look a little new. Now, of course, we are back to duo competition, which means top 15, top 10, and of course, 5 in the victory hour, all those placement thresholds. Every elimination is, of course, a point. Don't forget about that crazy prize pool. $2 million. Every single placement spot on the board will be doubled. Do not forget about that. That is huge. Now, of course, guys, a $2 million prize pool is pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. But what's more important are those qualifying spots. 4 were up for grabs in Europe, excuse me. 3 in NA East, 1 in West, 1 in Asia, Brazil, Oceania, of course. I mean, we've seen quite a bit of Fortnite action today. And I mean, it's just going to continue getting better. Don't forget, we're hopping into NA East here in just a moment. But first, we kind of touched on it before this last little break. We got a new competitive Twitter, FN Fortnite. Is that what it is? FN Competitive.
Fortnite is a good one. FN Competitive, F Monster would say.
FN Fortnite.
Check out the medias. It's where we're going to be posting a ton of stuff in terms of competitive, whether it's highlights, polls, tips and trick, VOD reviews, creator content, whatever you are looking for in terms of the creative side, competitive side.
I got
it
you.
will be on there.
FN
Competitive. You can check it out right there. But as Zeke said, 5 more spots are up for grabs. We hopped into Brazil a little bit before the break. They'll be wrapping it up. We'll have those final standings in a bit, but now we're going to jump into NA East, where 3 of the last 5 spots are up for grabs, and let's take a look at where the standings have shaken out so far. So first, only 2 or max 3 games have been played so far, but Slacks and Keys up top, 38 in the spread. We always talk about it, 9 points so far separating them, so that's a decent buffer after your first 2 games.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially with already a victory out under the belt, it's got to feel really, really good. But don't forget, we're still just kind of beginning games out. We're still feeling these games out. It is finals day, the final chance to punch your ticket to the finals in New York City. So I would expect to see the standings shift, especially if a group or two has like a really standout game. You know, we're talking a 20-point game. We could see this shift dramatically.
Yeah, I mean, a 20-point game would definitely shake it up. But to be said, like, that was a lot of players in NA East who we've seen a lot of. 72 hours in Vivid. You had Naga Ops and Kenneth up there, Z-Laner and his partner. So it's no strangers to the top 10, and they're going to look to keep that pace up there. Aircool, also shout out to him. So a lot of those previous Summer Skirmish veterans showing up in Week 10.
That's right. Everyone is putting everything on the line to try and punch their ticket to the finals. But now, Fortnite fam, we're not going to keep you up too much longer. Let's get ready to hop into some games. Remember, we have a new person joining us, that is Shia Wager, and we have Bala TW to get us through all these games. Gentlemen, please, after you.
Thank you so much, Zeke and Sundown. I appreciate it, and I just cannot wait to get in these games. Shio, I'm excited to cast with you for the first time. It's going to be great, the VOD review duo coming in. But you know what else I'm more excited for? We are getting into some NA East games, and there's so many names who have yet to qualify, Shio.
All the big names, Cloaksy, Tfue. We've got Tom at the top with Vivid right now. It's going to be a dope time. Experience that you don't want to miss. I want to get right to it, Balla.
Yeah, let's get into it. The
Awesome.
games are ready. Let's go right now into the first couple of NA East games. I mean, Shio, these Vivid, Tom, I mean, Tfue, Cloak, Bizzle, Demo. There's way too many names to list that could still qualify. There's only 3 spots to grab them.
A lot of people, and the hole's really small to fit in through, so we'll see getting right into it with Ghost Assault going to be going up towards a mid-ground layer, about the 5th zone, just locking in a very prime position as well on the zone wall. He's going to be trying to get up in height just to see if he can have a better vantage point on everyone around him. We are in the snow biome, a lot of hills available, also a lot of different types of sight lines available for different duos in different layers of height.
Yeah, and this Assault and Innocence duo from Ghost, I mean, they have been probably actually one of the most consistent duos throughout NA East and throughout the World Cup overall. Both controller players, both, you know, part of that controller gang and crowd that people are looking to have one at least full duo qualify. Still, it hasn't happened yet.
Absolutely. Right now, it just looks like they're going to be playing safe. These guys are up in the top 10 of the leaderboard. They're going to make sure they want to replicate those results they've had in these first 2 games. We talk about the way you play games now. It's been 10 weeks. It is duels as well, so there's more brains at your strategy. A big double heavy snipe coming in. Not sure if, yeah, it was both duos synchronizing that at the same time. Sometimes you can pick up on a heavy snipe that's coming off from across the server as well. A lot of action going on now. Vertical sightlines coming through. Some desynchronization on that floor placement there. We're going to see what they can do as we go to a big aerial shot of the entire snow biome at the moment.
And yeah, talk to me, Shio, about the mobility that these players are all starting to use. We're about to come up onto that, you know, that 6th zone waiting period before it starts moving. But everybody's trying to make their plans and even getting some double heavy snipers in. We already saw one tick through, and now Painful goes down. His teammate Tyler's trying to get away, and I think he is going to manage to do that, but not before Assault and Innocence grab from those spoils.
You talk about the mobility. That was the priority there from Assault, getting in, just picking up that jump pad as well as topping off his smokes all the way up to 6. Very smart stuff in and out, making sure he doesn't get too much pressure from other duos as everyone looks for those free loot piles near the end of the game. Now we have Fernando on a mid-ground layer as well. Erupt Slades is here as well. We'll see what he can do. Volds and Slades might be using 2 different names amongst each other. All these players switching up their names. 2 Chens going down as they hold up the Stormline pressure from their mid-ground tarped layer. A lot of chug splashes available from this duo as well. Now using Stinks. We'll see if they can play off of them or look for another angle. Going to be pushing towards Germ goes down from that Stink. Unfortunate there. They're going to be on a low ground layer, though they're going to have to move up at any moment here before the action starts seeping in from zone 6.
Oh, and unfortunately they're split heavily as we go up over Polar Peak. That launch pad's not going to get him all the way up, but you can see Keo and Imshoots right now using those shadow bombs to full effect to get up the mountain. Keo unfortunately falling down and taking a little bit of storm damage, and I think that's going to be the end of him. Yes, he does fall down, and the rest of these players also trying to do it. I mean, I just saw probably 3 duos total go down right now. Devious and Frosty, Lildo and his duo as well. That's crazy.
They call Polar Peak the great filter of the Fortnite competitive scene, as it's always about, do you have that rotation, do you have the mobility, or do you have the smarts to get up with your mats? Not only that, where do you base up after that on shambles or not? We see Niddle also on the top 5 at the moment with his duo Casker, sitting not at that much white health, but that Siphon can click in, especially off of sitting in that ball, looking for that opportune moment to get the guaranteed damage and elimination to make sure he stays on top for those 8th and 9th zone big pop-off moments.
See, almost taking those opportunities out of the baller right there as a couple players rotated directly in front of him, but for now, just outlasting the rest of the server. And hey, that's a good strategy, especially, you know, with these, look how many ballers there are right now, and they are having a good time on Polar Peak because they can climb and fall as fast as they want, no matter what, with those grapplers.
Absolutely. You talk about insurance as well. It's awesome when there's a lot of people moving around and maybe 1 or 2 ballers, but when you have so many ballers together, you talk about the insurance behind that mobility. Niddle, the Rift to go, now going to get out. Big shots coming in. Karos going down, in and out of there. A nice burger combo coming in as Niddle now goes all the way down. The mountain going to go back up if it does bounce back. Yes, it does. Moving back towards this huge high ground tarp layer. A lot of other natural ground to be mimicked and manipulated towards as well as they move up through this entire snow biome at the moment. Caster and Noel surprisingly together as well. Very hard to stay together off of balls too when you are moving in these chaotic environments.
Unfortunately, that zone just went on the edge, so a lot of the players who were going onto low ground ended up being able to just come right back up without having to go down. But then Casker and Niddle with the rip play, trying to take high ground. They do take it from Tuxi, and his teammate Nut is somewhere looking for sure, but they have high ground now, and that is what they need. They have the advantage. They have all the position to win this game.
This is all part of the game plan. This is Niddle's consistent strategy. It's always near zone 7 or 8 where he goes for that last-minute high ground take and then just starts to trickle down. We see that in international regions. Brazil does it really well. DK, as he just goes down tarp by tarp, moving like this. Zextro getting popped. His duo, Vinny, going down as well as these guys are now moving towards it. Niddle bombarding the server with his positional advantage above everyone else. Metal doesn't matter when there's 2 people shooting at you at the same time. White shots coming in, a trap coming down to delay that elimination coming through from Casker as he has vertical pressure. Niddle with that horizontal pressure unfortunately did not work out. He goes down, but Casker with the quick drop down, can he capitalize off of this position that he's in on height at the moment?
That player Puffin got chunked all the way down to what looks like 1 HP there, and then I think they did end up cleaning up, but no, Casker still having height, but Assault way down below. There is so much of a height difference here. Assault could capitalize if he just looks right back in the zone and knocks out either one of these teams. I believe they're going down as Casker takes out Top Gun, and then all the way down, he does have that redeploy, so it's now Assault versus Puffin, and the rift up from the top. Casker is coming straight down. Assault is going to take care of Puffin as he was low HP, and now in the zone. Casker looking to find exactly where he needs to go. He's going to get 1 or 2 layers above Assault. Assault slowing the pace down a little bit. He still has a lot of materials to work with, and we're getting down to those final seconds of this zone. Casker versus Assault. Here comes the ramp out into the zone. He does get a shot. Now it's Assault with the HP advantage, but
Big
no.
flicks.
Casker with the flick shot onto Assault. He's going to take that game by himself as Niddle combines with him to 8 elimination and 18 points in that game.
Amazing control of knowing when to drop down, when to stay up. Casker playing that insurance. We talked about it with balls, but even as a duo, being sure you're split up and covering for each other's losses will always net you that win at the end.
And I'm already just giggling to myself right here because Tim the Tatman and Wildcat is the first players we're going to be hopping in with on board. With them 1 point in this game, this could be one of their first couple.
One big topic in the Fortnite community as well is the content creators versus the competitive players and their success in getting games done, getting those qualifying spots secured. Blue damage coming out from Tim. Can he see that the individual that he was shooting at, Remdog, is going to have a weakness on his left side wall? He's going to go for that blue, but it's not enough. Not enough dynamic building. In a bad position, he gets beamed down, but the pressure's still coming in from Tim as he bobs down on metal tarps with his duo Wildcat. These guys are going to be showing everyone else that, hey, even though I stream Fortnite for fun a lot of the time throughout the day and make dope content, I can hang out with the big dogs as well and pop off when the moment's right.
Hey, they were both at that Pro-Am, and here they're perfectly executing a pinch as they get shot a little bit, but I think they still have it. Yes, Wildcat's going to take down that player, and Tim's going to get the finish.
Doing that classic animal aspect, right wall, left wall, showdown there on that other duo that they just cleaned up in record time. Not sure where the other individual is, but it's just big pop-off moments.
So maybe they learned something at the Pro-Am, right?
Absolutely.
That high-pressure, high-stakes situation, they played on that stage that a lot of these players are vying and fighting to get on at the end of July.
Absolutely. You talk about high pressure. Now we're on high ground where the pressure is very different, as this is the moment where you have to capitalize, make sure you get as many eliminations and pick up your points where you can. Because it's not only about winning games, you have to be dynamic enough to pick up on advantages, get those elim points, get a nice 50-50 split on what you're doing. You can't just be complacent and play these games bopping and Ghost is lost. Up top shooting at, oh, never mind. Can they get that beam off the sky? Yes, they do, as he comes rocketing down to the ground, landing below. We'll see who picks up that loot in just a second. 1 smoke grenade left for Ghost, so not that much insurance as we talked about before, but we'll see if he can make his position. It is the best one on the server, right behind where the storm is going to be rotating to, and we'll see if he can pop off from that moment as well.
So here now, 6 zone starting to move. You said it was the best position possible in the server, and I just have to wonder, why is that, Shio? I mean, they have the high ground, and their back is What's going on here with Ghost and Boppin?
So in this position, as you can see, they get a nice theater widescreen 16:9 native view on the entire rest of the map moving straight towards them. And they don't have to use as many mats at all. People can rotate below them. They can follow tarps. They just are allowed to do anything they want on their own pace when you have height right behind the storm. It makes it so that the storm moves onto you. You control the pace of the game. But if you do tunnel vision like they are now, sometimes you get left behind on the storm. Snaz that Fen. This aim is ridiculous as 2 people have now been beamed. 6 eliminations across both individuals who are still maintaining height, which is a very difficult feat from the 5th zone all the way to the end. We'll see if it's possible. Now waterfalls coming down. It's very, very hard to have that mat management and be able to still move forward, moving zone to moving zone as the distances are so far. At this moment, though, we see them utilizing just 1 tarped layers. Hold her hand getting knocked by Ghost. Swervo on the low ground as well, doing a lot of work, seeing if he can survive and get up top. Just look at this big view of the map moving forward, all metal.
And Wildcat's still up in this game, so he's, pushing towards those placement points and earning them as we speak right now. Moving closer to that top 10, Boppin and Ghost up on high ground. We've seen them time and time again find these opportunities, find these picks. Not going to find that one, just barely, as he escapes from below him. Right now, again, tarping. Being efficient with their materials. They're still lasting a little bit longer, but each time they get knocked out, they get reset. They have to refresh and figure out what they want to do. Not a single one of their eliminations they have gotten the spoils from, the materials to refresh up on.
Absolutely. I feel relaxed looking at this right now. It looks like these guys are just low effort aiming. The server is just moving towards them because their position is just so good. A lot of connects coming in as well. There's going to be a mountain that people have to move up on. Boppin instantly seeing that and moves up. Awesome game sense there. He connects. Now they have an entire choke line on everyone else at the bottom of this side of the server. They can end the game before the 9th zone even shows itself.
And I love what they're doing here. You talked about Boppin getting that mountain, getting the connection here, but Ghost is just staying down below. He knows the conditions of the server. He knows it's running dry on players, so they're making sure that they maximize all of the eliminations they can get, all the potential they can get out of the server. And I think they're going to clean up here, Shio, as they take out one more in Cam, one more player for them to find.
This awesome positioning by both people, spreading apart, then coming together on pinches. Now they're going to fight together. No reason to give the individual Keen 2 1v1s and risk that win. A big tarp coming through all the mats. They finally got some fruition from their eliminations. We'll see if Keen can pull a Savage and Shadow up. He's trying to. Not possible. They're bopping, coming out with a donkey laugh. Easy claps from this duo right now. Keen's still working at it. Ghost has lost. Very awesome and smart play there, going for that last elimination point, making sure these guys have everything from this game possible. Just a perfect 5th to 9th zone height hold and awesome win at the end of the day.
And timing was everything there. They already blocked him out. You saw he tried to shadow out, but he didn't find any opportunities to get out from under that carpet that they made. It was so wide, so strong. And by the time that he ran out of HP, by the time he was about to go to the zone, they made sure they capitalized and got that last elimination.
So I'm seeing something a little bit odd here. I see Riversan on
NA East.
The East servers. Hello.
And, not with his normal partner at all. Anthony, this is a new one for Week 10.
Absolutely. You talk about Week 10 pressure. It makes people make these not maybe drastic, but interesting choices to make sure they are on top of their game and have the most amount of chance to qualify. They're playing at their peak performance. So at the moment, Anthony and Riverson, 2 big powerhouses, solos and duos, coming together. We'll see if they can use their position as a pivot point to make sure the entire server answers to them, just like we saw from the last game, Bola.
And Anthony is one of those players that was severely, very, very hyped going into back at TwitchCon all the way back then in last fall. It's almost a year now since then. That's pretty crazy to think about. His partner Joseph splitting up now and, going with Riversun here, and Riversun obviously possibly moving to the East Coast for this. Absolutely. Or playing on that West Ping regardless.
Big beams coming in as we talk about playing offer utility. Bolt Glace going down to this insane Munch Wombo combo. We talk about positioning as well as Anthony stays up top, letting Riverson stay in the fray of the fight, but providing support as well from just one level above. And they have that pyramid and floor edit as well. It's going to be impossible for those individuals who just went down to do anything for defense. But, Riverson looked as the role model of the West community. A lot of people learn a lot from watching his VODs and his streams. We'll see what he can do on East. Right now, it's still perfect stuff. Maybe he switched up for his ping as well. But if he is playing on 60, it looks really good.
Looks good indeed. Now moving on to another duo that definitely looks good. It's Commandment and High Sky. Commandment obviously qualifying in the first week of solos. Not yet qualifying in duos, this partner High Sky right here. I also saw in the background Snood and Thwifo, who had a very, very great performance in week 8. And Snood, one of those guys who, was just barely making it week after week after week. So last opportunity here, you have that rift to go. That's going to get them very far in this game.
Yeah, they actually choose, I think, to take the jump pad instead. It might have been an enemy rift. High Sky being the one who also had a very, very awesome Blackheart performance. We'll see if he can replicate that in this moment as well.
First place.
Yeah, first place. It was amazing. Water reviewed that, learned. We'll see if that reload might come in the way of the beam. It does. Unfortunately, no damage going down as he's in brick. Has the rift and smokes as well, as Commitment now gets up with his bandages. A big shot coming off on Warrior. That's a lot of good stuff earned by High Sky there.
And you have to actually notice and take note of how he actually pulled out his rift. He was like, let's go, I'm ready for this. But then starting to, realize exactly what needs to go on. Commandment gets beamed down, but he waited that last extra second to get that elimination. But thankfully for Commandment, at 1 HP, Shio, he does have the minis and the bandages to recover it.
After week 6, people understood that white health is something you have to prioritize so much, especially with the storm flip coming in throughout this whole week. It was just recently disabled for week 10, so people might still be on that bandwagon of holding that white health as for patterns when you practice and then you play again. He's very thankful for that right now, Commandment, because he has those white HPs somehow finding each other in the same box after smokes. It's so hard to locate a good path to move around in, but now Commandment looking for anything to capitalize on. Big beams coming down, 272. The entire blue shield gets broken from that low ground commando skin. Fami finally going down to the storm actually after that beam. We'll see if these actually smoke again, stick together. Balls everywhere as well. They're going to be dropping down to the low ground. This is the best option for people trying to stick together, but the riskiest after it's done, because you have to now make an entire new development of your own layer, your own boxes to get enough pressure to capitalize on through the rest of the game.
Now Commandment going down to low ground here with High Sky. I'm curious of what's in High Sky's inventory, because we haven't seen them swap any sort of heals or anything like that yet. But Commandment did get that siphon from the player who went down the zone, but hold on. Explode's coming in from the side. They back up together. Now Shadow's going in again. So, Shio, you've VOD reviewed all these situations many, many times. Look what happened here to Commandment. Playing low ground in these situations end up being so risky, but also potentially rewarding as he picks up one more elimination.
The biggest thing about this zone at the moment is that although people hate on them, balls are still available, making it so that there's not too many builds blocking Commandment from coming back up from that low ground. We talk about low, let's switch over to high. Riversun up top with Anthony, once again doing the rain dance, all the bullets falling down below. Frey, Snood, and Thwifo are actually going to be the ones to get the front of that force from up top. Riversun dropping down, taking a little bit of fall damage, needs a siphon elimination here as he does not have any white heals at the moment. A surprise box opening is now going to be realized that where the pressure is coming from Riversun. We'll see if he can dynamically switch between these mat layers to get a nice vantage point or a surprise shot off on anyone, but there are so many hard mats at this point. Everyone's adapted on the rotation meta, the tunneling meta, when to have wood out, when to use brick and metal, and it's going to be so hard, especially with attack AR, to beam through these builds.
You see him trying to open up the sightlines, trying to break through and create any sort of gap where he can find an opportunity. It does get a little bit of a shield tag, but still nothing yet, as you talked about, the hard mats being so useful for these players down on low ground. Now getting up close and personal, that's Thwifo who goes down, so Snood now left on his lonesome.
We talk about using utility. There's not much available left to crack open the server. We did see Riversun use some stinks earlier to capitalize on an elimination. High Sky now down on bottom with Bluff. These guys are going to have to fight for this entire layer. Big shots being traded. Bluff goes and gets that elimination on High Sky. TJ now falling with COD Genesis. One of the other duos left is going to be a 2v2v1. Anthony and Riversun want to crush down this entire high ground layer. Makes it very easy to pressure. No one's on ultimate low at the moment. Can Bluff call that bluff and go all the way down? COD Gen comes down to Bluff. He might get the siphon for that as well. Give him a nice, easy picking on Anthony and Riversun, as well as they might be able to take height now. A 1v1 coming in, but Riversun representing NA East now, popping off and getting that elimination.
Switching coasts, and I think that was a perfect, opportunity to talk about their chemistry there in the last moments. That timing by Anthony and Riversun to come down right on top of all the duos, right as they all felt within each other, all of them trading shots together, and then they just come in and clean up. That's all they needed to do.
Absolutely, just stick on the same page, not one person building and one person shooting, 2 shots coming in, and a nice 1-for-2 trade there, or 2-for-1 trade, netting them the win. We now have Zopher chilling on, once again, a polar peak lair. Looks like every region is now having their own respective biome to play in. We saw EU with a lot of geyser northeast games. We'll see if the filter, the great filter, can be overcome this time as Thick Boy Uravs and 99 Zofer see if they can hold off on this pressure. The wall replaces, you're never sure how much ping your enemy has, how much you have.
Ooh.
A big trap placement coming in, B-Man going down, no secret there, as the whole server now knows the mistakes they've made on that push.
That was a crazy prediction there by Zofer to realize, hey, he's pressuring my roof. He maybe got a roof or two or whatever, but then realizing he's going to drop down on my wall next. I'm going to go ahead and preemptively place this trap. And he fell right into it.
The grind that these players do, Atlantis to Duo Arena to these big pro scrims, you'll be facing so many people and identifying so many patterns that sometimes it's just second nature to predict things that just work out for you all the time as well. Sheep and Famine now on the top of Polar Peak.
Speaking of second nature, I mean, we're in the box fight era right now, so that is exactly true. As Sheep and Famhood with the high ground on Polar Peak, they're trying to control this entire thing. They're trying to control that edge, and it could be so valuable for them. No, I'm gonna go ahead and dive down.
At the moment, not Panda, not in his natural climate. Gonna get frosted over by Sheep, who's gonna survive with that big wolf fur all over his body. These misfits up top gonna make sure they're gonna do a little bit of mischievous things to the rest of the server as well. 4D, Raz, and Vorpal though, sneaky right below. Not sure if Famwood and Sheep know where they are. Famwood making sure he has some insurance just in case the zone does bounce back. It's actually looking like it is gonna go a little bit behind them. They have that prime position once again.
You just mentioned the insurance right there. What Famhood did was actually connect to the side of Polar Peak so that he makes sure, hey, Raz and Vorpal, I know you guys are down there. I know we landed on your base, but this is our real estate now. If you want to go ahead and make edit plays, no, you can't. I bought it.
And the Fortnite housing market has some beef in it right now. We'll see if these guys can figure it out, up that property value. Gonna look at low ground right now. Once again, these people getting caught on the backside of zone, maybe using that rift a little bit too late, all the way up top. Postic taking an elim out on Tyler's. Tyler's now getting knocked after that. The sacrifice you make on low ground sometimes can be too much to give you any advantages as well. A stink grenade coming out on the follow-up Axiom.
Perfect math. Yeah. Right? He's doing it. In his head right now, he knows exactly what he hit that player for. He saw the white damage come through. He did the math. He did the addition. He knows one stink is going to take you out. So perfect recognition here. They took out Painful's teammate a second ago, but no, I thought he was going to go ahead right through the back of that. It's going off the side of Polar right now, and we know who's up on top. It's still Famhood and Sheep continuing to hold that real estate.
The big thing about this Polar mountain, especially when you're playing on the side of it, is it always gives you natural ground to connect to on the mid-ground tarp layer. So that's going to be very important for all these teams who are going to be looking for shots above and below. Trying to shoot up from mid-ground is always a big risk as you can get knocked down from below you, but now that can be opened up. So Sheep is being very meticulous about where he looks at, focusing a lot of his attention on the low ground layers because he knows that this position might be a little bit more vulnerable than usual. Big shots coming out on him, but he has a lot of shields and a rift as well, just in case things do hit the fan. We'll see if he has to use it at all, dropping in Storm to now waterfall down. Once again, dope mat management. He's going to be using one mat all the time to fall, making sure he falls diagonally to make sure he saves on a mat from a tarp switch as well, which is really nice. One elim amongst this duo though, so the capitalization on points might not be there yet, but there are 20 individuals left alive, 12 duos. That first placement point comes in, and we'll see if they can get more points all the way up to the Vic Roy.
I really like what they're doing here, moving so slowly forward. Does find Raz, who's below him all that time before, but slowly going in on the edge, really making it so that people don't realize that they're a threat, that they're up there, that they have high ground and they're owning the game right now. Famhood still looking for those opportunities, just like you said. I think he's going to find one more as these players decide to fight. Couple in the zone. He does find KZ, but falls all the way down, unfortunately. Going all the way down to 21 HP, and I already see a problem here because there's stink grenades on or in play, really, up on high ground.
Stink grenades in play on height is one of the most dangerous things because sometimes you can't even build higher. It's a lot worse for you at the end of the day. Wall replaces coming in. Dynamic Menace goes down. The 2-tap coming in. Very nice stuff from Sheep here. He's going to start to go down as well, but he's getting pressured from all sides at the moment. Famhood is also alive on a tick of HP right now. They're going to be looking for connects if that's possible. Famhood staying up so he doesn't get damaged at all either.
And that crazy switch, mat switch right there as he was waterfalling down with wood, and then suddenly he switches. He still had 430 wood. Switches to brick. Makes it possible for him not to get knocked down. And I'm seeing a bunch of names down here that we started with. We saw Urav's Posick, and then Bumpa and Slappy, who each week we have been coming back to, and they've been getting better and better as they've started their journey as a duo together.
Absolutely. High tier loot as well from everyone, so every shot that connects will connect hard. Clank now trying to find a way through with Posick. We'll see if they can come up. 5 eliminations up. Can they get more? The final placement points has been handed out. A shadow comes in, and he gets stopped and slapped away. Slappy gonna get eliminated at the end over there. Some edits getting misplayed from Clank. Can he make it in? 46 HP, 26 now. A lot of damage taken, gonna be detrimental towards the end of the game. Fanhood actually goes down, so Sheep is left by himself. Clank jumping all the way up. Looks like he actually gets eliminated by the Storm, trying to go for an advantageous position.
Slappy actually got the elimination there because the Storm took him out, and Bumpa's still alive, so that point does connect, and they get into the top 5 as Super Evan goes down. Now it's a 1v1v1. Bumpa goes out to Godnik right there, and it's Sheep versus Godnik. Sheep on the high ground, Godnik down below, but he's in a little bit of a pickle because there's actually an iceberg in the way. He goes out in the Storm. I think he might have just taken high ground. Sheep doesn't realize where he's at. He's using the chug to heal off. He's running away from Godnik. The first time we've seen the chug splash used in that sort of manner. Running away, getting the ice on his feet on purpose, and then going right out. The chug splash it's here, it's ready, and we're getting back to those crazy heal-offs, Shayo.
It's happening. It almost looked like a PG fight was going on, but we'll see. Go back to Zeke and see what's up with the rest of the games coming up.
I like that rhyme. I'm about that, Shy. I like you. You're a really cool guy. Man, what an insane game there coming out. The chug splash, man. I'm telling you, we have not seen the ceiling for this item. And people are going to continue using it to do some really fun and crazy things like that, but great for the player to identify, you know what, I can just live. I'm just going to keep just splashing the ground. I'm good.
Well, it's a great, because it's a change, right? I talked about it a little bit earlier. This fundamentally shifts kind of how those full storm closure and those heal ops play, because usually you have to account for it. There's no insta HP. It's either a HP over time via the slurp or the campfire, or you have to commit to either procking it off, whether it's the bandage, the med kit, or sitting there and popping a shield. So now all of a sudden, when it's an insta 20 HP and it stacks up to 6 times, like, you can exchange those out. So now a siphon might not be enough. And I mean, those end games, things are getting weird.
Things are getting weird. Speaking of weird, I don't know, I didn't make a great transition, but we're hanging out with Sundown.
These plays were sick. They weren't
I was going to say, yeah.
Let's get right on into it, or let's dive on in. You can see the swimming pool over there. But first, we're on board with Niddle and Casker. Now, Niddle has qualified in the solos, is able to pick up 2xe there, and then start his work from top down. He picks up a nice double here onto Zextra right away, and then he finds Vinny right afterwards. So brilliantly done from him to be relentless, chase up with this, and manages to get the wall replaced, and then pushes in and will be able to close that one out. But gets knocked there. Casker, however, held the high ground, didn't go down to contest, and is going to be able to ride this one out. You can see it's a 2v1v1, but he equalizes by picking up Top Gun and then getting the first shot and the second one, 6 HP left. We talked about the difference that could end up being it, but Ghost is lost, and Boppin didn't look lost here. They were able to put the bop on the rest of the lobby, picked up Snaz there, and this one was all about control. They're running the high ground from the entire time. They made sure they identified the threats by them, and then they picked good targets on the edge of the storm. And you can see Ghost following up right away. Virtue trying to make a move, but it wasn't enough, and Boppin is going to be able to just follow it up, and you can see them being relentless. And then Ghost, this is great. They tarp out the whole level. They know he's there, and Ghost is like, we're not going to lose. I'm 100/100. I'm going to go down. Every point matters. That one got them the 13th elim, and now we got Anthony and Riverson. So Riverson used to be the best of the West, now playing over in the East, trying to be a beast here, doing everything he can to get another qualification spot. He wants it so badly, picking up Thwifo there and trying to push through. You can see pulls up with a great flank and control around the zone to get TJ, stay in it, and then recognize the shot onto Bluff at the end. Just brilliantly done. We've seen Riverson before, and now trying to do it with the new duo of Anthony in the final week. We're used to seeing him with Persecute, but let's see if it's enough to get him up here on the standings.
Here we go. Right now at the top, you've got Zayt and Saf leading with 48 points, 4 games played. But right behind them, you've got the liquid duo of 72 and Vivid. Tetra and Eclipse right behind them. And look at this, man. From top to bottom, an 8-point spread. That's, I mean, 8 points in striking distance is, you know, making it what, let's say, top 5 and a few victory royales, and suddenly you're finding yourself up all the way up here. I mean, this is still really, really close.
And the one thing you have to realize, Eclipse and Tektra have already qualified. Zayt and Saf have already qualified. So right now it would be 72 hours in Vivid, Slacks and Keys, and then Assault and Innocent. But with all of these players here, we've talked about a reasonable pop-off game being about 15 points. It's a 5-win victory royale or a top 5 with 8 elims. And in duos in particular, because everyone kind of squishes together at the end, those numbers can be inflated. We've seen 20-plus point games.
Yeah.
We saw Stompy Dashinkin drop back-to-back 20-point games to take the top. It is still anybody's tournament for the last 3 spots. And again, this is it. After this, you're done. If you played on NA East, you can hang it up. If you're not going to New York, you get to watch with everyone else.
That's right. And again, you know, if you're seeing these players and you don't recognize them, or maybe you do, just take a moment, send them some love. They're playing their hearts out right now, trying to punch their tickets. But of course, Fortnite fam, we're ready to hop back into more games. Thank you so much, Son, for hanging out. We're going for a dip, so let's send it back over to Bala and Shy Wager.
Thank you, Zeke. Those eyebrows always on fleek, and so is NA East as we get into Dubs and Mega, the big titans of the entire server on solos and duos. A nice, varied actually rotation coming in. A ball sticking beside a flintlock pistol like a mother deer and her fawn as these guys move around the field at the moment. A lot of mats available as well, and they keep saving these mats as well when they use this type of rotation.
I love the use of the flintlock as a rotational item. It's something that you can always basically count on finding at least one, or maybe a glider redeploy, shadows, or something. And that flintlock, hey, sometimes you have it and you're like, oh, I don't have any rotation, but it saves the day here as Dubs and Mega make their way towards the zone and almost approaching that top 25. That's not a placement threshold here in duos. It's actually still half of the server alive right now.
It's just really impressive that these guys used these many limited mats, saved the ball, and got in without taking any damage, as it's so hard to do when one player has the ball and the other player doesn't. It takes so much experience. Speaking of experience, knowing the proper sight lines and the proper builds to shoot as well is huge, as Dubs is going to be calling the shots on who to shoot at the moment. Dubs looking at boxes beside him as well that are just completing. A lot of chaos going on around him as well. A blue tack shotgun available, so he gets multiple shots in close range. It actually does out DPS the combat if you are in that box-to-box moment, and that's what he's going to be looking for, doing his patented wall replacing. It is the box fight meta.
Oh.
And we'll see if Mega can play that meta as well, as one duo holds while the other one pushes. Flintlocks coming in that tack. Double tapped. Ghoul goes down, now representing his name as a ghost in the server. We'll see what else these duels can do as we look at a huge aerial shot of everyone on the same layer on this mountain in the map.
Starting to flatten out, but we know the moving zones are coming, and we know those change things very fast. And as I was looking at those standings, I was looking and seeing what the average points are for those top places, the people who are going to be qualifying. Zayt and Safet up at the top, they were averaging just slightly over 10 points a game at 46, and they had only played 4 games. Same thing with 72 and Vivid. And, you know, I have a funny story about Dubs and Mega, actually. Dubs was giving me advice on how to play in the finals. He's like, Bala, you got this. You can qualify. All you need to do is get 10 points a game. I'm like, okay, buddy. You're only one of the few people who can do that consistently.
One of the only in the world. We talk about the placements and where individuals are in these leaderboards. The first 5 games and the last 5 games and these 5 shots coming out of Vix are so different and important as he gets that knock. When players are playing your first 5, the mentality is very different. You have some momentum, but as you move around in those leaderboards, those last 5 games, people start getting more serious. People start throwing games. Speaking about throwing things, all these bodies getting thrown in the air as everyone is on rotation at the moment as the zone just starts moving. Looks like no one's really moving that late. Rote is left behind with Zeshi as well.
And I'm already seeing the top 3 players, or duos, up on the leaderboard, Vivid and 72, and we saw Keys and Slacks as well down below them. Looks like Vivid is in a clutch situation right now as his teammate is already down, trying to find the player on the zip line. He heard it coming. Started to put his attention immediately on it as he tunnels forward. Again, we talk about it every single time. It's always get ahead of the zone, look back, Look for those gatekeeping shots as he sees, he opens it up, gets the stairs in, the edit comes through. Divine had no chance and no speed to realize that that was going to happen from Vivid, taking an opportunity to find that elimination.
Divine on the low ground, now being dropped down to the underworld as Vivid starts to make his way up. 72 has been eliminated, so it's all him. Only 10 mats though, so it's just him and a Dream at the moment. Now has to barrage through enemy builds with his pickaxe. Has an edit though. The last mat that was his in that box. The dynamic zipline play coming in as he does gain a little bit of height, but needs to go even higher. Balls flying all around him in the map as well. H-tag going down. Can he get the mats from that elimination? Yes, he can. 20 metal only though, as he still has to rely on his trusty pickaxe, denying a player height on that layer as well. He does have one launch pad and one mat left. Tickers all the way up top with Hornet, who has qualified in solos as well. We'll see if he can replicate that and get double qualled with his dual partner as well. Kutorba dropping down a layer. We'll see if Vivid can find a way up.
Vivid doing crazy things right now. Fortunately, the zone did go back in his favor, so he doesn't have to spend too many materials as it's going downhill, and he uses the one piece of metal to block that shot, and now he's looking for more. He's looking to refresh. He needs to find something, possibly both of these eliminations in the storm. Yes, this is going to be the mats that he needs to refresh. Not even much, though. Every single time he finds an elimination, there's not much at all. The edit coming through, is he going to finish it off? Yes, but does he get the mats? Not really. Not really just yet, but taking the time, going back still. Only 10 builds, really 15 builds here. Vivid, can you really do this right here with no mats from all the way back when? Clutching up, now into the top 5. He is doing this.
The big thing about getting these low ground eliminations is that everyone else is also in shambles. The big wall barrage coming in with the flint knock, just nice knowledge about where your materials are and where the angles are to get in. Has 2 heavy snipers available as well, so he takes multiple chances at moving through. Has to move up layers though. Silent edits coming in. Big Enas as well as Frat gets flown off that low ground as well. Vivid's just moving in ways I've never seen. Can he get that launch pad off?
No.
It might not be enough time. Vivid now going down to the zone is going to hold back as much as possible to see if the enemies were making a mistake, but that's the game. Hornet and Tickers playing the positional game there and winning it off with all this multi-high and low ground coming out. Look at these tarps, Bala.
Yeah, this fossil is ridiculous as it goes all the way back. I mean, really, we could actually track the story of Vivid, right? He had no materials through all of this. He barely contributed to that thing, but he survived until top 2. So what a performance there from Vivid, and that's why they're up there. That's why they're in second place right now.
It's always that 1 or 2 pop-off game, and it's always also about staying consistent. If Vivid and Tom keep playing that way, easily they can qualify this week 100%. We see Stinks now, the big focus of week 10. A lot of people carrying them more than normal I've seen right now in all these regions. Nice dodges from Grasha there, though. We'll see if he can move forward. Has a lot of mats available for the moment. 3 elims amongst him and his dual partner Daxter, both representing E11 Gaming. They do have that patented flintlock and redeploy combo. I think is one of the most dynamic combos in the game, as you don't have to pull out anything if you fall off from height. It's very easy to kind of manipulate where you want to be exactly with those 2 items. Granted though, they do take 2 slots.
But I mean, 2 slots, and we've seen the use of it. Actually, I don't know if we've seen it on broadcast yet, but there's starting to be a lot of innovative uses with the flint knock and the glider redeploy. You actually go faster, even horizontally, when you use that flint knock and the glider redeploy, because you shoot that flint knock, it pushes you with the momentum, and then you're using that glider redeploy to just carry you forward.
The biggest thing about it too is that you can choose when to stop and take your shots as well. We see a lot of stuff happening on low as right now as well. We have Pika on the server as well.
What is this? Is West just migrating to East? What is going on? Why are you here, Pika?
Maybe the timings of West, they thought, hey, we should get into games now, and they fell off on the East. We'll see if they can get the stuff done. There are 2 more qual spots on East compared to West, though, so maybe that's one big thing if these guys think that they can pop off.
I mean, we've seen in the past Psalm, you know, he is a West Coast player, but the first week he actually moved over to East, making sure that he gives himself the most opportunities, the most spots, and he qualified first try. He's actually even East still with his partner Symmetrical this week, so Pika taking a little bit of a note from Psalm.
Yeah, absolutely. At the moment, though, this is not the first chance. This is the last chance. It's week 10, so everyone's pulling out all the tricks from the bag. No secrets here. We'll see if we get anything equivalent of an Olaf boost. We'll see if there's any secret stats happening as that door edit comes through. People now have adapted to that, though. They know that someone's coming through that door. Assault taking all his shield off when he gets onto this rotation. Only 2 minis available. We'll see if Innocence has any heals as well to supplement this duo as he gets booped a little bit of interruption there on his minis. He does have shadows available. Once again, 1 player on shadows, 1 player on the balls, and in perfect position as well as he can beam Hydra from the zone line. A nice dynamic switch onto the floor from the wall once you realize that someone was already pressuring that wall. This is just those micro decisions these players make at the last second of these shots to get that elimination when they move across the map as well. They're going to be on rotation now. We'll see when they box up and go back.
Assault getting beamed from the back, not realizing there was a player who's going to immediately realize that he's there. But I got to talk about it. We said pulling out all the stops. Assault and Innocence right here. They're sticking to the tried and true, the 1 baller strat. We've seen them do this, even dual baller all the way through from the beginning, but they just got ripped in. That baller is gone now, and they have to dive. No, Innocence is still down there, actually. I misspoke. There's so many players in the sky right now, but still. So I think he still has that baller. I think he could still last a lot, but look at his HP right now, not working out just yet. Where did Assault go? Did he land nearby?
He landed on the mid-ground there, Bala, and he got right to work as Branchies, who is also on East right now, playing it up, gets a big knock down from Assault. He, as soon as he landed, even though he was split, went straight to work, started bullying Davon, who also landed with Fernando on that mid-ground, and he has this insurance, once again getting tagged up, people just predicting everything these players are doing when it comes to smokes. There's no safety available. Everyone's on their best behavior. They know all the stops they can pull to get this pressure down. Assault's now getting dynamic with it. Might not move the same way to get that shadow off. It might affect him on the amount of distance he can move, but he still has mats 500 wood left, actually, which might prove fatal near the end of the game as that wood can get shredded through, just like cheese in a grater. We'll see if he can keep it yummy, though. Assault on 41 HP, needs some more food, needs some more eliminations to get that siphon off and get him back up to 100. Sees that storm line sight line as WordBro gets .exed out of the game. He's off now. 28 builds left for Assault. He doesn't get to pick up those mats. Owen and Threats owning probably the best mid-ground tarp they can have right now, but they're getting stinked off of it as there's so many people fighting for these high mid-ground layer tarps as well.
Staying on board with Assault, just great shots as he immediately realized that player was going to make an edit on him, getting the double combat shotgun shot through. And I think he wants to go for the mats, but maybe a little bit risky. Does find a med kit. Is he going to find the time to pop it? Is this the final zone? I don't think he's going to be able to do that unless he really goes for the full heal off right here. Now, down on low ground, there's still so many people left alive, Shiloh. I mean, there are 11 players total, 7 duos still remaining in this game, and it's final zone. It is time. 1 minute left in the game.
People are going to be playing super, super smart. The placements have not even gone out yet. All the points there. Still duos to get knocked down. 8 W keys get sent back to the jungle. No opportunity there for him to get any placements, unfortunately. 1 duo still needs to go down. Assault looking very healthy on HP and shield right now. Has a little bit more time to move through the storm. That storm taking 10 damage a second gives him about 8 to 9 seconds to move throughout without an elimination. Speaking of eliminations, Intangible goes down as Assault is now just freaking on everyone. Another shot coming in. Threats is getting eliminated. Can he keep it going? Assault has that low ground layer. It's very dangerous for the surprise factor. Davon getting that shot off, but it's not over yet. Creo and Nolan in a 1v1. Both their duos have gone down. Creo
What a
with
play!
the Superman launchpad on the height. Still has mats to answer with it as well. Starts taking the ticks of health first, but resets those ticks as Nolan has fallen under less HP. Creo with the high IQ launchpad and safety switch to stay in the storm and clinch out that game. Huge plays there. 3 eliminations. The victory royale. Creo, you can't do it better, Bella. You can't.
Creo just pulled off one of the most insane clutch launch pads I have ever seen, knowing exactly that Dusty Divot has these, kind of elevation changes. It goes up and then it goes down drastically. He knows there's builds up there. I can get up there and I can out-heal or outlast you as you have to make your way through all of that old fossil. Perfect play there from Creo, and that's why he's qualified in solos, right? So he's trying to do it now, trying to get double qualified and bring his teammate KiwiFace along with him.
We talk about qualified duos and solos. Sap and Zayt now, who also qualified for duos, are going to be looking at getting some more money and placement as well as they keep playing for these top spots for respect and practice as well. Slurp's taking on Sap. He does have a few more. They pick up an elimination. A lot of loot to work with now. Looks like they have excess mats as well. They're in zone. They could big up their base if they wanted to, make it a little bit bigger for more sightlines, or they could stay cool, calm, collected. One cool thing I see from low ground usually is if you stay a little bit more low key and then look for surprise shots where people don't expect it, that's where you can get those big picks. On height, it's always dope to, edit your walls, see if there's any advantage points, but with low ground, you usually have one or two angles, and you can get those pop-off moments there.
So Saf and Zayt, I've seen a little bit of on Zayt's Twitter about his strategies going into New York, talking about how he's trying to control his drop spot being Loot Lake. That's going to be one of the most interesting storylines in New York, being the fact that they claim Loot Lake to themselves, but we know how many duos are already dropping there. We know how many duos are already qualified in New York. So Zayt talking about, I'm trying to stop anybody else from being in there because he already has Sean and Aiden. He already has Mitra and Mongo. They're trying to claim Tilted, but they could come back to their old home the way they qualified.
The mind games from duos saying on Twitter, we might be taking this spot or that spot. The biggest theme for Worlds is going to be clashing of all these storylines. Everyone plays in their region. They know the rules, but that always gets flipped as Juxta gets flipped as well in the Storm. He goes down. Easy Elam points picked up from Sap and Zayt.
Yeah, I do want to shout out real quick somebody who's been doing a lot of research on those clashes going into New York in solos. He put together all the drops. That's Arcane on Twitter. Absolutely amazing work. He just does that week in, week out. And now we really can look at a map and say, okay, we're going to see this, we're going to see that, and I can't wait for it. But you know what else I can't wait for? It's Fuzzy and Hogman. This is one of the teams that has had those, heartbreaking weeks, those heartbreaking moments, but also very positive, triumphant, because every week they're up there as Hogman picks up webs. Every single week, they're getting so close. And we saw them up on the leaderboard before, right around possibly this game is fresh for us, not even realizing any of the points here. Hogman, you are crazy. He just went all the way up on high ground with the baller, and Fuzzy's doing the same too, but staggered because now, no, just barely. I thought he was going to take full high ground while Hogman fights from below. But what a crazy play there. They're all of a sudden in a really good position.
They talk about the use of ballers in competitive, but no one does it better, I think, than Hogman and Fuzzy. Hogman was the king of ballers coming in from solo. He's kind of given that knowledge to Fuzzy as well. The amount of time they can keep these ballers alive near the end of the circle. A Rift coming out now, seeing if they can once again reposition. Looks like their game plan is always zone 6 and 7. Fight for that height. Use your mats then. So if the balls don't work, we'll see if the Rift to go can work. And it does almost, as Hogman gets that slow deploy,
yes,
but pops off on Sean Claude from the back. We'll see if he can build up. Another shot coming in. The Sidewinder combat shotgun. We'll see if he can wall replace here. His enemy goes down lower towards the ground. Sean gets that Elim, or Hogman gets the Elam confirmed on Sean. Multi-layered high ground available as well for this duo.
Yeah, and I'm curious, okay, they are going to use the launch pad to get right back down. Actually, Fuzzy's going to go ahead and drop all the way down. He does have that glider redeploy, but one thing I'm noticing in their inventory, they have the chug splashes. We saw the play earlier from Famhood. So that is a possibility here in this game, but there's still so much to play, Shio.
The Chug Splash is one thing you can always bait and switch with. We saw that high ground PG fight about to happen, but instantaneously that heal-off came in. We'll see what these duels can do with the utility they have. Brispy going for a nice utility play as his trap gives him some fruition, but he can't capitalize on getting those mats, ammo, or weapon upgrades because these guys have to move for the Storm. Sometimes you can get those high priority Elims down, but you won't be able to get everything out of them except for just the points, and it might make it so that you fall behind on tempo for the rest of the game, moving on positions.
Speaking of tempo, I love how Sherry here is not, full topping all the way through, but what he is doing is placing a floor and a cone on the bottom layer and making sure that if anybody's going to go below, I can make that edit. I can open up on you.
A lot of personalized styles from a lot of people. Powbro going down. We'll see Cherry actually moving behind his builds as his duo stays up. This is huge. 6 duos left alive now. 1 more placement point left. We'll see who's allowed to play and who is not going to get any placement points from this point onwards. Hogman on the high ground with Fuzzy, who's trying to wall replace. Once again, this genius type of split on height where one person, one target, while the other one goes and does the dirty work. Fuzzy in a dirty situation, but Hogman cleans it up. Very nice stuff there as they get that Elim down. Big points available as well for these duos if they can keep getting these elims over and over again.
And I love how they collapsed directly on that player. As soon as they got both the cone and the floor, that player started full sending on them. They both came down and made sure that they would handle this, but making sure that they're also getting that victory royale. They're slowing down, splitting the materials, knowing exactly where that LX or I duo is going to be, but Fuzzy goes down. It's now all up to Hogman, maybe opening a little bit preemptively there, but it's still top 3 situation. They've earned all the placement points. Hogman's gonna get revenge onto Cherry. There's still one more down below, but he has no match. Does fine. The siphon match right there, that's gonna allow him to stay up just for a little bit longer, using the chug splash. Not yet using that slurp, but he sees an opportunity, does get a couple shots. Now it's a 1v1 down on the low ground. Hogman can take his time or go full send, get the elimination. Yes, onto Brispy, and then finally onto Lotus. Hogman and Fuzzy take the victory royale with 20 points.
Options, options, options. Hogman just using the proper shots, using the proper heals. Zeke, what do you think about all this, man? How is this stuff getting so insane and more ramped up over and over again?
We knew for a while now that Hogman's and Fuzzy had it, and right then they just put all the pieces together. A massive 20-point game. Let's go.
Fuzzy Wuzzy doesn't care. Fuzzy Wuzzy will take all your points away and qualify for the World Cup. That should have rhymed. I apologize.
Sundown has long hair. There's the rhyme.
You go.
All right, let's talk about some dope clips that you pulled for us.
Yes, let's take a look at some of the individual efforts that are coming out. I know it's Duos Week, but right now these guys are putting their partner on their back. First, you can see Vivid, no mats, no partner, no problem. Picks up the first elim, then immediately gets the knock onto a rough. He gets the bare minimum of mats there, a little bit more, 18, and he's able to convert it into more. Gets the immediate pickaxe and then finds out GG's only rigor, not enough there. Frags his way into the top 10, and then he's still going. We hopped on board with him. He was at 2 elims, no mats, no partner. Now all of a sudden, 6 elims, 75 mats, has control of the mid-tarp, gets himself into that top 5 situation, almost single-handedly, brilliantly done from the week 1 qualifier. It was a great effort and another great individual effort out of Assault here. Drops down, puts the drum gun at mid-range to work, picking up branches, and then gets the upgrade to that legendary combat, and then he's gonna go to town with it. Finds Wordbro on the quick rotation through, and then doesn't let up, still picking people up inside the top 10 and sticking with it. This is how Innocence and Assault have made their plays. They've done it by fragging out and getting the elims, trying to be the only full controller duo. Shout out to Wolfies being the second controller player to make it so far to the Fortnite World Cup for the duos, and Assault just running down the low ground here. And again, this has been all without Innocence. We hopped on board. He was only on the 2 elims. He was able to get 5, 6 now, and then get himself into the top 5 as well. Just a brilliantly done play. And will the individual efforts be enough? Speaking of an individual effort, Creo with the nuts launchpad up onto the high ground, and then watch how he stays in the storm. We talk about every single interaction mattering, sometimes not even the interaction mattering, every single second, and just having 1 more second in the zone. He knows when it goes to full close, he's ready to challenge out. Brilliantly done, trying to get Lazarus a duo spot as well as their solo spot. Let's take a look at the standings so far, and it's Slackies and Keys right now in the top spot, 57 points. The Young Calculator and Macwood just behind them with 56, and then Aroa and Npen currently in 3rd at 55. The spread starting to get there now, 9 points, but again, it is anybody's match, Zeke. It is anybody's tournament, anybody's day. All of these guys have been so close, and this is really a who's who of NA East for competitive Fortnite.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really big names here. Again, there's only the 3 spots in NA East, so a lot of these guys are going to look to bring their A game heading into these last few matches. I mean, when you look at even Calculator and Macwood, right, they've got the 7 games played. That's a lot with very little margin of error there, so you gotta hope they come out with some really big games. But Fortnite fan, we appreciate, of course, you guys for hanging out with us, sticking around for Fortnite, all the Fortnite action. But for now, we're gonna go to break. I know. Just get up, go get yourself a snack, use the restroom, come back. We'll have more Fortnite action. Don't go too far.
Let's glide out to the lobby. Let's glide out to the lobby. Let's glide out to the lobby to get your squad some nums.
Burgers from dirt to munch.
Tacos Royale with brunch. Red juice is a tasty treat for Lil Whip, Peely, and get your squad some loves. Let's glide out to the lobby to get your squad some love.
What's up, Fortnite fam?
Today, we're going to be playing for $3 million for charity, folks, and it is going to be an incredible time.
50 of your favorite Fortnite personalities will be paired up with 50 celebrities put on this fantastic stage.
It's going to be awesome. It's duos, so we've seen it before at the Pro-Am last year, and it's always a blast. I can't wait to see what's going to happen.
The first match of the Summer Block Party Pro-Am is beginning right now.
They're putting down pressure. No one's safe now. That's one Elam right there. Can he get a second? That is going to get followed up.
Because he desperately needs materials. A player behind, 102 to the face. Look at this, he's just waiting. Waiting for a full send. It's Symphony. He shuts him down. It's a 1v1. Who is the other player that's left? Oh! Here it is. He's going to go with the X. Oh! Airwalks.
Wow. Dude, that was aggressive. Look at him go here. Just beating down players. No weapons. Doesn't even need them.
Wants this. Look at this. Aiden's just supplying pressure.
Oh, tries to go for the high ground.
This might have been a mistake. This is Aiden. We're talking about more damage. Bucky's down to nothing. And Aiden, victory royale.
Ball, it doesn't connect with the shot. Marshawn Lynch hits 75 blue.
One great shot connects up, comes up over top. It's a second right there, and the Rift goes out.
Oh, she's on the run. She's chasing it down.
You're not going to let this one go away. Oh, no, no. You know, you're a solo. No turning back now.
35 wide on that damage there, and Ewok got the target. One build remaining, and that's it. He's going to land in front of him, and Typical Gamer! Final game. Typical Gamer pops up behind Janina. Oh, the rage! At this point in time, not looking the best when it comes to the... Oh, no!
Final moments, Golden Boy.
This is it right here, the 1v1. It's going to be Aiden going up against Symphony, pushing forward, forcing the activity.